And I'm like, oh, okay, he has a car, he looks rich, his suit looks expensive, he's nice, good looking. You understand? That was when I now started to notice him. Right. Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Victoria Ayodele Fash. If it's your first time here, thank you so much for joining me. If you're a returning subscriber, you know I love you, you know I appreciate you so much. Thank you for always coming back. Okay, all right. So first of all, let me apologize for the background noise. There's a construction going on close to me and there's nothing I can do about it. Okay, but I need to do this video in the next 20 minutes because I need to leave here now. All right, so today I want to do a story time on this channel. I haven't done a story time in the longest time. Actually, I've only done a story time once on this channel, and that's when I talked about he left me for my hairdresser. I talked about my ex-boyfriend and how I was heartbroken and all of those good stuff. So if you haven't watched that, I'll leave a link up here so that you can watch that. Okay, so on this particular video I'll be talking about when I dated or almost dated a married man. Actually, I think we dated, but we didn't date. Okay, you will understand as we go on. Okay. So before you judge me, okay, before you start to judge me, let's just listen to the story, okay? Because I'm sure you guys know me already and you know that I have certain principles, you know, that I follow. Okay, so for this to have happened, there has to be a reason or there has to be a story to it. Okay, and I'm going to tell you guys. I know I always talk about my secondary school days and how, my university days, and how I was so focused on my studies. I didn't want any distraction, so I didn't date anyone throughout my university years. I was so focused, and you know, I was working and schooling. I'm sure if you've been following this channel, you already know the story. I was working 8 to 5. I was schooling 5 to 10 in the night. Okay, my weekends were for church, so were my Sundays. Okay, so I literally didn't have any fun time in school. I was so focused on career, focused on building myself, my academics, my faith in God, and that was it. And immediately I finished schooling, that I'm now supposed to be living baby girl life and chopping life and making money and everything. When I wrote my last paper, my husband asked me out. Okay, we've been friends before then, but then he asked me out, and from school straight to dating and to marriage. So I did not have fun time, exploring time, and I am glad I didn't. Trust me. Honestly, when I see a lot of people, you know, I have friends who tell me that that we grew up in university together or that we were in university together, they'll be like, oh, they wish they had a fun life. You know, they tell me they wish they had a fun life in universities, and not even people that went to university with me, like random people, like, oh, that they had fun, you understand? I'm not one of those people, okay? Yeah, I don't have any regrets, to be honest, because when I see a lot of, you know, people now that, you know, they had all the fun, they are still having the fun, and there's nothing, you know, really concrete to show for it. It's like just you wasting time and wasting your life in the name of enjoyment. And I know a number of people who actually, in the name of enjoyment and living baby girl life, you know, end up with unwanted pregnancies, you know, and other factors I don't want to discuss here, right? So I am glad that I wasn't one of them. Okay, so now let's talk about what happened. How did I find myself in this mess? Okay, so beginning of my story, most of you guys know already that I schooled in Ghana. Okay, so I didn't school in Nigeria. When I started schooling, right, I came to Ghana. My sister was already in Ghana. She was schooling already in Ghana. She was in her second year, I think, when I joined her. No, her third year when I joined her. And so when I came in newly, I came in with some beautiful set of girls, some amazing ladies. That was Busola, Folake. Yeah, they were the two people living in that house in Asalom Down. If you're a Ghanaian, you know where Asalom Down is. So that was where I came newly. I didn't know anybody. I was new. They were my sister's friends. Okay, so they accommodated me for, I think, a short while. Okay, it was supposed to be longer, but our landlord chased us out. Not us, but us, in the sense that it was a family compound, and today we'll pay this person money, next tomorrow the brother comes, and then it was becoming a thing of I'll call the police, and we didn't want trouble. So within 2 hours we had to move. So it was a very, very troubling time. So I had to move in with my sister. So I went into my sister's hostel. I was there till I finished my first semester in school, but we also had issues because I was courting with her, and it was not allowed for you to host somebody in the hostel. So every now and then the hostel manager would go around the hostel to see who is there, especially at night, to see who is squatting with who and all of that. And it was very challenging for me because I had some issues with my sister's roommates who were not comfortable with me staying with her. So it was just a lot of mess, okay? But thankfully I wasn't caught. I think the man noticed, right? But because my school is quite far from my sister's place, so I usually go in the morning, I come back in the night. So usually when he has closed, but sometimes he hasn't closed. And I think one time, I remember one particular time he came to the hostel and everybody had gone to class, okay? I was the only one in the room. So I heard him going from room to room to check who is inside the room. So I remember I locked the door. But one thing also, hostel managers usually have the keys, but I don't think they can enter into your room if nobody's there. So I locked the door, I turned off the light, and I stayed under the bed because he was shining his torchlight to see if anybody was in. So he knocked and knocked and knocked, and I didn't open the door because I was silent. I was so scared. Oh my God. No, actually there was one other person, my sister's roommate, one of those people who were comfortable with me in the room. I literally was begging to say that, please, I beg you, let's be quiet, don't let them know I'm here and all of that. And yeah, thankfully that he didn't see me, but he saw me another day when I was going to the bathroom with my towel. So I was like, oh, what am I doing? I said, I came to visit my sister. I was like, well, I can't be having my bath here, what. I said, okay. So it was a lot of mess. So I knew I had to leave, okay. But thankfully I was able to, the whole of my first semester, I stayed there, and that was good. All right. So I moved from there and moved into a hostel. Okay, I stayed in the hostel for the rest of my 100 level. Yeah. 100 level, yes. And I was there, 100 level, and I think 200 level first semester, I was in a hostel. It was a very terrible experience for me. It was the first time living with a bunch of strangers, and we had a lot of issues. There was language barrier, there was culture barrier, and in as much as I was trying to be nice to them, there was this particular girl in the hostel. I think this is a different story on its own. Lizzie, I can never forget that girl. Oh my God, but that's a story on its own. They made my life a living hell. But that was where I met my amazing friend. She was also my classmate, Caroline. She was staying in the same hostel, so it was really nice. She was my breath of fresh air in that hostel. But I stayed there, right, for 2 semesters, and then I left, thankfully. And then I moved in to my apartment, which was the blessing from God. But then my sister was in a final year in the university, and we moved in together. We stayed together for a year, and then she graduated and she came back to Nigeria. So I was left alone in my house. That was the first time of me living alone, right? Me living with my sister was a different story. Maybe whenever it will be a while before I see her. Oh my God, my sister moved out of the country a few weeks ago. Gosh, I will miss her so much. Oh my God, and my niece will go and join her very soon. I love those people so much. Anyways, let's move on. So I know I'm blabbing, but trust me, I'm going somewhere. So I moved in. That was how I started living alone, right, in my house. And it was a room. I love that house. Oh my God, it was so cozy. So it's not small, it's not wide or big. It was just right for me. Okay, I had my kitchen in my porch. I had my bathroom. It was the sweetest bathroom. I love the tiles. I love the shower. Oh my God, I love that shower. It was like rainfall. The pressure wasn't too high, it wasn't too low. It was just perfect. Anyway, so yeah, I started living alone. And then I got the job, okay? When my sister left, I got a full-time job, okay? So I started my 9-to-5 job. So I had to switch. So when I started school, so my school has morning section and evening section, okay? So people schooled in the morning. When I joined, I was a morning student, because evening students usually for people who are working. So in Ghana, there are a lot of adults that are schooling, okay? So they have like adult education. So it's a normal thing in Ghana. Especially people in the media. So most people in my class were actually people that were working in media. And because it was a communication school, so that's also why. So, but there's a lot of adult education in Ghana, so it's not unusual for a school to have morning class and evening class. So my school had that. So you could choose to be a morning student or an evening student. But evening students usually matured students, right? So sometimes they try to break things down for them than we that were just coming from school and our brain is still fresh and all of that. So anyways, I had to switch. That's the story. Although we're all graded the same way. So when I got the job, okay, getting that job was another story. But that's another story on its own. Gosh, I have a lot of stories to tell you guys. I've not even started the story when I was in the US, but that's another story for another time. Okay, so I was living alone. I got this job. I started working and everything was going well. I was in my 200 level. I think I've entered my 300 level now when I got the job, and all the things was going well. I was an evening student. I wasn't really relating with people in class, but you know, we're trying to relate little by little. I finished my 300 level and then I entered into my 400 level first semester. So in my school, second semester, we don't really come to class because we only have 1 or 2 classes because we work most times on our project. I think I was in 300 level. Yeah, I was still in 300 level. Yes, 300 level second semester. So I remember this particular night. Now the story is starting. I'm just giving you a background for you to know my university journey so that you have a better understanding of, you know, how everything happened. Anyway, so it was my 300 level. I was living alone, and there was this particular day I went to work in the morning. Jesus Christ, I was so exhausted. I don't know if I ever told you guys the story of my university days. Like, I was working, I wasn't really being paid well, right? Because I was trying to get experience, because the idea was I didn't want to leave school the same way everybody was leaving school. I wanted to leave school with a working experience. So I decided to go for the job. I was being paid, right? In short, at the point my salary was doubled when I got to 400 level because, you know, I'm such a hard worker. Anyway, so there was this particular day I was so exhausted because naturally or normally when I'm done with school, when I'm done with work, so my boss lets me leave. They allow me to leave the office around 4:30, so I close around 4:30 and then I start to walk. Okay, and if you're familiar with Asylum Down, you know that Asylum Down is like a hilly, I don't know, hilly kind of road. So it goes up and down, up and down. It's like you're going on a journey. You're climbing and climbing, and then you start to ascend, and then you descend, and then it's not like it's ascending and descending. Like you climb up, and then you come down, and then it's a very, very, you know, tricky road. So it's very exhausting when I'm going to school. Like, hey, when I get to school, I'll be panting, tired, and all of that, and I still have to stay for class. So this particular day was another day of trekking, and the reason I trekked was because there is no car to take me from my office directly to my school. So for me to be able to take a car, I'll have to take a drop, and I didn't have money for drop. I could not afford the drop. Okay, so if I wanted to take bus, I'll have to take bus first to Seku, and then from Seku to Adabraka, and then walk to school. So it wasn't really making sense for me. Okay, my school was in Adabraka. Anyway, so let's move on. So so I remember this particular day was, you know, a stressful day. I've had a very stressful day at work. I think we're planning a conference, and it was just so much for me, okay, at that time. And I came to, you know, to class. Remember, I got to class, I was so exhausted, and again, I wasn't okay. So I was wearing glasses when I started school, but they stole my glass, and I know people find it very weird. Why would someone steal your recommended glass? But I'm so serious. You guys always know I'm always a fashionista. My recommended glass has never been a normal glasses. You know, you understand. The glass I was using that I came to school with was pink. It was nice and all of that, and it got missing in the exam hall. Like it was so painful for me because that was my second eyes, but I didn't have a glass, so I had to, you know, I had to be sitting at the front because I didn't have a good eyesight. So I came into class. This time the second row was full. I don't like being in the first row. Like the second row is good for me, but I had to stay in the first row close to the wall. Okay, so I remember that they were having media law and ethics. That was the class we were having by Mr. Hey, what's the name of this lecturer? He eventually left. I think that was his last day with us, actually. I can't remember his name. But we were having media law and ethics. I love that course. Like that was my favorite lecturer ever. So we're talking, we're having classes, and this, oh God, this fine guy. Like this fine guy in a nice suit, you know, just came in, and he came to sit down in front of me. Okay, it was literally in front of me. I was sitting, like, it was in front of me. It was facing the class. I was facing front. Like, he came and put his chair in front because there was no seat, and then we're talking, and the man was lecturing. His lecture is really, really nice. Like, I noticed the guy come in. You understand? But you know, now I have to remove my face, like, I don't know. So we're having the class, and the guy sat in front of me, and when the man was talking, the guy was asking me questions. Oh, do you know him? Oh, I really like what he said. And I'll be like, okay, all right. So why is this guy talking to me? Like, I remember I was already tired. Like, I just wanted to get through that day. Okay, so it was saying that, wow, this guy is amazing. It was saying my lecturer is amazing and all of that. I said, okay. In my mind, I'm like, this man is fine. It's perfume, and guys, you know me, I love nice smell. Okay, his perfume was, you know. Anyway, so we finished the class, right? And then he asked me, all of a sudden he asked me, what's your name? I told him my name, and he said, oh, nice. He introduced himself. Let's say his name is Kwame. Okay, I'm using the Ghanaian name because he's a Ghanaian. He said, let's say his name is Kwame, and then I said, oh, nice to meet you. And then we started going down. He was asking me about my lecturer, how long he's been teaching, what it teaches, what I like about his teaching and rest of it. So I was just answering normally, like I had other classmates. So I was trying to like leave his side because trust me guys, I admire the guy, but I was not in the mood for any talking. I was tired, right? So I tried to go to my friend or a classmate to ask for an assignment or something, and this guy was waiting for me. So I went downstairs, okay, and I found him there. I didn't see him around, so I was like, thank God, now I can go home. So immediately I got downstairs, I met him right at the door. And he was talking to my lecturer that, hey, I don't know what he was saying, but then he called me, said, oh, Victoria, come, tell him, I was telling you. I said, yes. He said he liked your lecture, he seemed to admire you a lot. And the lecturer was like, oh, nice to meet you, and they were talking. And then I was about leaving, and he went to his car. He was driving a pickup, this nice Hilux pickup truck. So I was about to leave, and then he said, oh, where are you heading? And I told him where I was heading, and he was like, oh, let me drop you. And I'm like, oh, okay. He has a car. He looks rich. His suit looks expensive. He's nice, good looking. You understand? That was when I now started to notice him. I'm like, this man is, everything. And, it was my spec. Trust me, he was my spec. So we entered the car. He dropped me at home. So he took me home and he got to know my place. I'm like, oh, do I stay here? Oh, he's been here before. We're just talking generally in the car. Normal talk, my classes. And then he told me he was a lecturer, okay, in another university. I'm not going to call the name of the university. It was told me he was a lecturer, and he actually came to my school to like more or less learn from other lecturers, to critique other lecturers, because he does that. He goes to different schools and see lecture. He's a lawyer. What did do a lawyer? He's also a lawyer, and he's a lecturer of law. So he said he usually goes around school to, listen and sit down in classes when maybe he's bored in the office, and he just happened to be in my class on that particular day. I was like, oh, nice. And then he took my number, right? And I gave him my number, and everything was good and nice. And when he got home, he sent me a message, hey, are you home? I said, I'm home. Oh, it was really nice talking to you. I really love your smile. I love the way you carry yourself. He was telling me all of that. I'm like, oh, thank you. I was like, hey, can we see again? And okay, so that night we started talking, and he was asking, what do? I told him what I do. I told him about my school. He was like, wow, you're so impressed that I'm able to do, to school and work. I'm a Nigerian. He told me about his Nigerian sister-in-law, his Nigerian this, how he's been to Nigeria, how much he loves Nigeria, and all of those things. Like most Ghanaians, like I don't know, some of them don't like Nigerians, and some of them, majority of them actually are fascinated about us and our lives. So he was asking me about my experience in Nigeria. I was asking different questions, food and all of that. We're just talking, like the conversation was so interesting and nice and all of that. And then when we finished, started telling me about how much he likes me. He likes my smile. He likes how I talk. He likes my intelligence, and all of that. He admires that, I am hardworking. I want to make something out of myself. We just talk generally, and I say, and me, you guys know now, I'm very moved by intellect. This guy is smart, okay, and he's now fine, he's now tall, he's now dark, he's now rich. You understand? Because he told me about his family, like they are like a very big family in Ghana, right? So to me, it's like jackpot now. So we started to talk, and then he's like, hey, can I see you again? And I told him, oh, sure. And then the next day, he asked me, so we discussed, gosh, I'm so hot, guys. I need to turn on this AC. He had asked me where I worked, and I told him, oh, hey, he's familiar with the area and all of that. So he asked me the following day, can we meet? I said, oh, yes, I'm having class tomorrow, so you can come over. And I was at work, and quarter to my closing time, I was still packing up. I got a message, hey, I'm outside, I will drop you in school. Me, that I don't want to walk as long down. Remember, I told you that all the backstory I was telling you had a reason. When I thought about the healing work, and someone literally, like, it was a pleasant surprise. And this guy, if I tell you, I don't know if it's a lawyer thing, because my husband also has that attitude, right? He came into my office, and at that time, this is another story for another day, I had issues with one of my bosses, okay? I don't know why this lady was always on my case. Now she's a very good friend of mine. We're like, now we are really, really cool. But this fine, rich, handsome looking guy, lawyer guy, entered my office, sat down at the reception and asked for me. So I was there, and the receptionist called me. No, I had seen a text that said, hey, I'm around. to me, I thought maybe he sent a message to the wrong person. So my receptionist came and said, hey, someone is looking for you outside. I said, me. She said yes. That was so strange. That my boss I was telling you about that I had issues with came out. Apparently she had seen him and she had, now she's okay, guys. Then I was what, 21 or 20? Can't remember my age. Anyways, I was younger. My bosses were elder. They were like in the year 28s, going to 30s, and they were single. Okay, and this guy looks like the ideal guy for anybody. Anyway, so he came into my office and. So I came out. So my this is my boss. She came out and she was like, she really didn't like me, to be honest. And then she was like, so I started to bring man into the office. What. I remember I was an intern. Okay, so anyways, that's a story for another time. Anyway, so I came outside and I saw him and I'm like, hey, it was a pleasant surprise for me. That was the first time any guy would surprise me. So I was so, into the whole thing. And I was like, hey, he was like, hi, we hugged. I was like, hey, are you ready to leave? I said, almost. He said he's going to wait for me. So he waited. I rounded up a walk. My boss was giving me attitude. Sister, I don't care. My fellow interns that saw him were like, who is that guy? That guy is fine. He's shaking it on. Anyways. So he gave me a ride. So in the ride, we're talking. Like, we just started to build so much. Like, within a few days of knowing this guy, guys, I had fallen in love. I have never, I used to pride myself as that person that's like, who you, I do my investigation and everything before I fall in love. My sisters and brothers had fallen in love and I didn't know. I started to have affection for him, and that was what he was doing. Throughout that month, he would come to my office. He would drop by my office unannounced. He would buy me stuff. He would just check on me. It was so nice. We talk at night, we have conversation. It was so beautiful, guys. This was the first relationship I've had in years, right? And he seemed like a perfect person, okay? But all this while, nothing physical happened between us, not even a kiss, maybe a hug, but we were just close. But he wasn't really telling me what he wanted from me. So we're just talking like friends, we're hanging around. I think he took me to his office once and then we spoke. It was just a really nice friendship conversation, and I was falling in love with this guy. At a point, I realized that, oh my God, I have fallen in love with this guy. But then, remember, I always say that my university days were the days that I was very close to God. So the moment I noticed that I was beginning to have feelings for him, I started to pray about it. And every time I prayed about this guy, I always felt trouble. I always felt uncertain, something was up. So remember, this guy has not asked me out yet. Well, we were almost dating, only we've not defined what we're doing. So we're just hanging out. He would take me out, we'll go shopping, we'll talk and everything. Not shopping for me, for him and all of that. I didn't take money from him, just a few times, and I can count how many times he bought me anything. So we talk and everything was good, and there was a particular night I realized. So he dropped me at home and I was missing him so much. I wanted to talk to him. I was calling him, he wasn't answering. I was so angry that he wasn't picking my calls. And then I started to pray, and every indication was telling me that this is not right. This is not right. So I remember that particular night. I woke up in the middle of the night and I was praying and praying and praying. I said, God, what is the problem? Show me what the problem is. Please, God, I don't want to fall in. I had already fallen in love, but please don't let me go deeper into this if this is not what you want for me. So I was really praying. I think I even went to fasting. I was literally praying that, God, show me what I need to know about this guy. So after 3 weeks of, I don't know if it's dating or knowing, getting to know each other, there was this particular night. We didn't plan on meeting. I think it was a weekend, so I didn't go to school. I come back from church because I was a believer's class teacher. So this guy came. He said he was outside my house. He does that, so it wasn't really weird to me because he usually drops by unannounced, and then we'll meet outside because no man enters into my house. I don't allow men because it's a room. So if you're entering into my house, you're entering into my bedroom. Okay, so I didn't used to allow him. I remember there were times that he would come and then we'd sit at the corridor, and there was one particular time he said he wanted to come into my house. I said no. He tried to convince me with his loyally legal whatever, and I told him, I stood my ground that I don't allow men into my house. And yeah, my landlord is another story. He's an amazing man. Gosh, I've lost contact with him. I should really get in touch. But anyway, so we talked a lot. I think I invited him in once and we talked, we conversed, and I'm not proud of this, But I think that night, things got out of hand. Not the night he was at my place. I saw him up to his car, and a kiss happened. And I'm not ashamed to say it, because at this point I didn't know that he was married. Okay, but after that happened, when you are in love with the person, you understand, and getting physical it's the first time we're kissing, so I'm expecting to feel. I felt everything I wanted to feel, but I also felt this is not right. You understand? So after the night, I said my goodbyes and I went home and I started praying. So I was praying, I said, God, you need to show me. And then this guy drove back that night. This was late in the night, around 11 or 12. He drove back and he called me and said he wanted to see me. So I went into his car. What's up? And he told me, I remember I was praying and I was saying, oh God, you have to show me what happened this night and all of that. And as I was praying, right, I heard that voice inside of me. I don't know why, but that this is not wrong. This is like more or less like you would know soon, something like that. So I went to his car and we started talking, and he told me, it was like Victoria, and how long we've met each other. So in my mind I'm like, oh my God, this guy really likes me, he's coming to tell me he loves me and all of that. And I was like, and he told me, he said, I really, really love you. Like in the past couple of days, I found myself having feelings for you, like honestly, and all of that. And I'm thinking about you all the time. I can't get my head off you since the day I saw you in the class. He was telling me all those sweet things. And I'm like, okay. And when he was talking, I said, but, because I just knew there was something coming. So, because again, my heart was not at peace. And the Holy Spirit was telling me that something was wrong. But I didn't know what was wrong. But trust me, all this while, all I thought was, when the Holy Spirit was telling me something was wrong, the thought that was coming to my mind was like, oh, maybe he's HIV positive. Trust me, for him to be HIV positive was more okay for me. I never thought that this guy was married, ever. It was not even a thought. It was not a thought that crossed through my mind, ever. So he was like, so I said, but. He said, but. It was like, what do I think is a problem? I said, why? Does he have a terminal disease? And he laughed. He said, no. And I said, then what's the issue? He said he's afraid to tell me. In short, he was never going to tell me, but he doesn't know what happened. He didn't know what happened this night. I knew it was my prayers, because trust me, I was on God's neck. Like, you must tell me what is the problem today. And it was like, as he was driving back, it just felt like coming back, because it's not right within him, and he needed to tell me, because he felt it was unfair and all of that. I'm like, at this point I was really agitated, like, what's the problem? Because guys, I had fallen in love, and just like do you know, it never occurred to me that this guy could be married. He looked young enough. I just never thought. That's usually the first thing that will come, like, is he married? But for this guy, it never occurred to me. And the next thing this guy did, he reached out into his jacket and brought out his wedding ring. At that point, I remember, although that was the first time, and I didn't know, okay, I had, my mouth had touched his mouth, basically. It was like, oh my God, I was so down. I didn't know what to do. Like, my body was shaking physically. It's like he didn't know how to tell me, but the day he came into my class, he was actually wearing his wedding ring. But the moment he saw me, he liked me. He saw me from behind when I was coming. I think he saw me when I was coming into the class. He liked me, so it was because of me. He came into my class. He didn't come just to, he came, that was the reason he came to the school. But when he saw me, he came into my class because he saw me. And he removed his ring and kept it in his pocket. And every time ever since that he came to see me, he was always removing his ring and keeping it in his pocket. I wanted to die. And I'm like, how do we talk this much if you're married? How are you always here? How are you always taking me to school, leaving work? And I'm like, how? And then I got to realize that his wife is actually in the US. And guess what? She just gave birth. At this point, my feeling had moved from hurt. I was still hurt. Don't let me even pretend. I was still hurt because I really, really did love this guy. It moved into like anger. Like, how could you not tell me you were married? You literally just kissed me. How did I not know? How did you not tell me? Like, I was so mad. I was so angry. So I left. He tried to reach me throughout the night. I didn't pick his call because I was so hurt. I got home, I was crying. Oh God, I was crying. And this is just part one of the story. I was really crying. I was so angry at God. Like, God, why did you allow him to come near me? Why did you allow him to come close to me? If you knew this was the issue, why did you allow me for it? I was so mad at God. If you saw me that night, you think I was crazy. I was so angry at God. Like, why did you show me? Why did you let me fall for him? Why did you stop him from coming to me? Why this, why that, why that? I was so mad. I have kept myself this long. I have not dated anyone. And then, you know, this guy just walked in. He swept me off my feet. I'm falling in love. And now he's married. God, how could you do this to me? How could you do this to me? How could you do this to me? I was crying that night. And oh God, I was crying. I was really heartbroken. And for the next few days, this guy would come to my house. I would leave because, Bolaji and Christy, you guys already know them. They're my closest friend in university. So I would stay in their house. And every time they want to reach me, I'll tell them I'm not available. This guy will come to my office and sit at the door for the longest time, waiting for me. Sometimes, like, he won't see me because maybe I'm out for meeting or something. And then he will leave. And then this guy kept coming. And I told him, I cannot date a married person. You are married. Anyway, so that was how this guy, you know, at this point, I was still in love with him, in as much as I knew he was married. Don't judge me. I didn't know he was married. If I had known from the onset or I had seen a ring, trust me, the feeling would not have even gotten there. But anyways, I was still in love with the guy. So I think a few times he came to my office, we spoke. I kept telling him, I can't. It's not healthy for me to be around you because of how I feel for you or about you or whatever. And you know, but it was getting worse because I was avoiding the school and avoiding him, but I was craving to see him. Like, we had become, within that 3 weeks, we had become so close. We were talking every time that now, when I'm alone in the house, I now feel strange, like, because I'm not on phone, I'm not chatting with him. Anyway, so it was really hard for me. I would cry in the night. I would cry for nights. Hey, God. So I remember there was this particular night I woke up and I said, God, you need to help me get over this guy. Like, I know I've gotten angry and I'm past the stage, you know, there's the grief, there's anger, there's, you know, all those stages of grieving. And I'm like, God, I'm at this point, I need to let go and you need to help me. And you know, like, all of a sudden, all the affection and love I thought I had for this guy, everything just, it became like hatred, and I'm not joking. It didn't happen immediately after I prayed, but like subsequently, but that night was so significant for me because I cried out to God and I begged him and I pleaded and I really cried out to God, and I believe he heard me because after that moment, I stopped thinking of him. You understand? I started to focus on other things. When he calls me, like, I don't want to answer his call. Now he became like a stalker. That was how it started. This guy started to stalk me. It would show up unannounced to my office. I told the receptionist to anytime he comes, tell him I am not around, okay? He would call my phone every time. I blocked this number. He would use another number to call me. This guy became a pest in my life. This man, you know, it's bad enough that you're married, but that you even have a child, a daughter. Oh my God, and your wife is abroad because she just put to bed and Jesus, I was so pissed at him. And you know, all the love I had for him just became this hatred. I didn't want to see him around. And I opened up to you guys know that I always talk about my two best friends in universities, and they are Christians. Like, they're the one who really helped me in my relationship with God. And I told them about it, and you know, they encouraged me. You know, they were really there for me during those times. I used to sleep in at their house just because I needed to have people around. So I remember one of them, I secured a job for her in my office then. So we were working together. We were both attending the evening class, which was good for me because I really needed the company. So this guy would show up in my office and it was so bad. But the day that it became scary for me, because this guy began to stalk me. Everywhere I go to, I find him. And I became scared. But the day everything changed was I was sleeping. He has been coming to my house in the night. So he would come, he would knock and knock and knock. I would answer. You know, this time around, it was around 3 in the night, around 2 o'clock, 2 a.m. at night. I was sleeping, and the next thing, I heard a knock on my door. V, that's what he used to call me. V, I know you are in the V, open the door. V, I'm here. V, open the door. V, I know you. Ha, hey. At this point, I was not even angry anymore. I was scared. Why won't he leave me alone? I've told him several times to stop calling me, to leave me alone. This guy won't stop. He kept knocking. He knocked for close to 15 minutes. I didn't answer him. Then he went to my window. He started to call my phone. I knew he was going to call my phone. So I quickly, all the lights in my house was off. So I quickly, like, I put my phone under my pillow because I didn't want him to see the light or think there was someone around. So I quickly put my phone on silence, and I now stood still like a corpse in my own house because I was terrified. Remember, I was living alone. Again, to how I told you how I started to live alone. This is why. I was living alone, and I was so terrified. And then this guy went to my window, and my window is high. It's high from the floor, okay? It's big, but, you know, the foundation is quite high from the floor of the house. This guy would jump up to see if there's anyone was there, and then he would be knocking on my window. He would throw stones on my window. It was there for 1 good hour, calling my name, V. This guy refused to leave. He sent me a message on WhatsApp. I told him I was not home, that I was at my friend's place, and he was like, I should send him the address to my friend. I'm like, it's late. Guys, anyways, this guy, that night was so scary for me, and from that day it became very irritating. I called him, I told him, don't ever come to my place again. If you ever come, I'll tell my landlord that you're a thief and all of that. And this guy did not hear. When it became so bad, there was the day that he stopped calling me. I was closing from work. I just closed from work, and this guy started calling me again. And I was with my friend. My friend took the phone. She went outside. She told him, you should be, I was just hearing, you should be ashamed of yourself. You're a married man. What are you looking for? This lady watched this guy, this man. She watched him, and I think out of embarrassment, that was the last time he called me. Well, we met again, like a year later, but that was how he stopped calling me, he stopped coming to my office, and he stopped coming to my house. That was how I escaped. And God really helped me. All the feelings I had for him just changed to hatred. Like, how can you're married, and you tricked me into a relationship with you. You didn't open up to me that you were married. This is a principal thing for me. Like, gosh, I was so disappointed at myself, but there was no way I could have known, because he never even occurred to me that this guy could be married. Jeez. But anyways, for a whole year we didn't talk. Like, I totally forgot that anybody like that ever existed, and you know, everyone was good. And then I think a year later, he came to my office. Then I had left the office I had gotten a new job, and I had moved on. I was in my new office when the receptionist came, that someone was looking for me. I'm like, who is that? I thought it was a client. And I came out, and lo and behold, 1 year later, it was the man. I was like, hey, this time around, I didn't have any hatred towards him. I didn't have any feelings towards him. I didn't have anything. So I was like, hi. I wanted to talk. Hey, how are you? It's been a while. I went to your office. They told me you were in this office. Abigail. Of course, she didn't know the guy. And then I was already dating my husband. So I was like, hey, so he was around, and he wanted to come and see me. I was working in Osu this time around. My former office was in Asalom down. My school was in Adabraka. Anyway, so he said he wanted to check on me and see how I was doing. I was like, oh, thank you for coming. And then he said, hey, do you want to have dinner or something? I said, no, I don't want to have anything to do with you. We're done. He said, well, can't we just be friends? I said, I'm not interested in any friendship with you. I honestly don't feel anything towards you, and I don't want to rekindle any fire that, it took me a long time to quench, and, that was how, once in a while he would call just to check up on me and see if I'm doing okay, and once in maybe 3 months, I will pick his call, you understand? And until, I left Ghana, and I think my very few days in Ghana, we met. So I was going to church, and then he happened to be driving by, and then he called me and said, wait, are you the one there? And then he went to turn, and then he gave me a lift to the church. But trust me, at this point, nothing was between us. Everything I felt for him had gone, and it was just more or less like, hey, it's been a while, how are you doing? We'll catch up. And then, his wife was back in town. They are now in good terms. So when he told me he was married, I asked him, why you're married, why, what are you looking for? And then he said, he was having issues with his wife, and I said, she just gave birth, give her time, like, because your wife just is pregnant or just gave birth and stuff. And she said the wife doesn't appreciate him, he does not do this, he doesn't do that. I was like, give her time. She just had a whole human being. Okay, what are you doing for her? Have you communicated with her and stuff like that? Like, the next option should not be looking for somebody else. And it was like, he wasn't looking for, he has never done that before. He was just an attraction towards me. I'm like, well, thank God that's done. But the last time I saw him, they had, you know, reconciled. They're living good life. Okay, I even saw them, I think, in the newspaper. Trust me, it was from a big family. But yeah, thankfully it did not escalate more than that. And I think I still regret the fact that, you know, I shared I can't even call it I can't say it. But yeah, I think that's the only thing I regretted, that happened before I knew who he was. But I know that it wasn't my fault. I didn't know him, right? I didn't know his status then. And yeah, that's why it's not good to be, you know, doing any physical contact with someone you're not married with, because then you start to kiss married men. But anyways, it happened once and it's gone, it's in the past. But I just wanted to share this with you guys, and I guess the moral of all the story for the married people is stop chasing after, you know, young ladies. It's wrong for you to deceive a person, make her fall in love with you, and then now tell her that you're married. It was my case, and it was really horrible for me because I fell in love with him. So please don't do that to any other ladies. And for ladies, trust me, there's no joy in being with a married man. Trust me, it might be everything, but gosh, I saw what another woman made my mother go through in my father's house. Like, yeah, my father, yeah, anyway, so he was a great man. He was an amazing father, right? But he was not the best husband. And I saw my mom and I saw how broken she was. And that was I made a vow to God and to myself that I would never make another woman feel the way this woman is making my mother feel. That was my vow to God and to myself. And that was why when I heard about that, it really, I was so hurt because I was so mad because it's like I broke a vow to God, but I know that God knew that I didn't know. So yeah, I shouldn't be kissing men anyway. So anyways, so yes, I made a vow that I didn't want any man, any woman to go through what my mother went through in my father's house because of me. I would not be the cause of another woman's tears in her husband's house. Never. And it never happened again. Like, see, the first thing I look when my mom, are you married? Like, that's the first thing that I look out for. And I'm so grateful that ended. But there's nothing to gain in dating a married woman. We women cannot be the enemy of each other. If he's having issues with his wife, let him or let them sort it out. You are not a counselor. You are not a marriage counselor, and you are definitely not a rebound or someone that, you know, it can come and sleep with because he's having issues with his wife. That should never be you, okay? Because whatever you sow in this life, you will reap it, okay? If you like marry the best man in the world, if you're going around sleeping with people's husbands, you understand? But yeah, just there's no joy in sleeping with a married man or having a relationship with a married man. Yeah, anyways, that is the story of how I almost dated a married man. And I hope you learned one or two things from, you know, this video, and I hope that you were encouraged or blessed. Please, there is no joy, there is nothing, please don't do it, okay? Don't do it. Fight the urge. I'm thankful that it didn't go more than it went, because I don't know how I would have been able to live with myself knowing that, you know, you understand. Yeah, but anyways, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and if you like this video, let me know. Leave a comment below, subscribe, leave a thumbs up, and yeah, let me know what you guys think. Okay, I'm very late for church now and I have to leave. Thank you guys once again for joining me. I will see you guys in my next video. If you want more story time, if you enjoyed the story time and you want more story time, let me know. I have plenty of story to gist you. Okay, let me gist you about when I lived with a mentally ill person, right? If you want to hear that story, let me know. Yeah, I have plenty of story for you guys. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed this one. I will see you guys in my next one. Until then, my name is Victoria Ayodele Fash, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.